It gave you everything that a journalist could want. So it gave us robust, independent statistics so that we knew where to quote from and how up to date the statistics were in terms of how prevalent the problem is in Australia, and having those credible statistics enabled us to really build the story and build it in a way that was engaging for an audience, and that was articulated in plain English so that people could understand, for example, that a woman in Australia is murdered every single week by her partner or former partner. It is an issue for everyone, and it is the biggest crime, social and equality story that is around in Australia today, and can sit under any section. Giving us those tools gives us that language to properly articulate the problem and also articulate some of the solutions which are available. And as a freelancer, that was really important to me because it's absolutely not something that should just sit in the women's section.
The fellowship definitely helped me understand the better angles to take to actually create change within our communities, and also how to avoid the traps of journalism, which can be really easy to fall into, especially if you don't have the time, resources, or simply the knowledge.
It's such important work because it helps you unpack the structural issue around domestic violence and some of your own assumptions about it that are need to be kind of reinterrogated. So just like racism, you know, gender equality is not just about the extreme stories in terms of the murder and physical violence. It's an architecture of social, economic and cultural disparity that women face that is part of the architecture of violence that enables them to have a lesser position in society and allow this violence to continue. And so reframing that and understanding it as a power issue and understanding it as a gender issue and a gender inequality issue was, I think, very important in helping us restructure and reframe how we report on this, and really actually help combat it and end violence against women.
One of the things the fellowship gave me as a freelance journalist was a peer group, and that's been indispensable. We have a WhatsApp group. We help each other to report on sometimes very sensitive issues, and keep an eye out for when maybe someone within our organisation has done a story which perhaps hasn't been as good as it can be in terms of accurate reporting of violence against women. And I've worked on stories since, for example, where I've been able to run a first draft of that story by one of the other journalists in the fellowship to say, have I got this right? And is there anything you'd change? And is the tone right? And that's in addition to the harder learnings of, you know, avoiding victim blaming, perpetrator excusing, getting the language right, ensuring that 1-800-RESPECT number is at the end of every single story on violence against women. And those are the kind of 101 things that we now know as journalists that we absolutely have to get right. But there are stories in which tonally you might want to run it past one of your peers, and they've been really, really helpful. Having the ability to do that has enabled me to report with more authority and more confidence on this subject. We want to empower more men to have this conversation and bring them in, and be part of more male journalists to be part of the fold that continue to report on this story and ensure that we keep it at the top of the agenda of editors in every newsroom in the country.
Regional journalists often don't have specific rounds. They cover huge distances under tight deadlines with limited resources, and they're usually in the early stages of their careers. But the communities they cover are also where women are more likely to experience violence compared to women in the city. So they're in a really unique position to help, and we owe it to those communities to do that and share their voices. This fellowship and the support and knowledge you receive from it can improve your reporting no matter where you're based.
The Our Watch Walkley Foundation Fellowship, of which I was a participant, last year was an incredible experience. I think most particularly because I was able to speak to so many other women journalists in this field who care about and are passionate about gender equality and reporting on domestic violence and making sure that this story is covered in the mainstream and given the attention that it deserves.
I feel empowered to continue to tell this story, which is so important. Until we drive down those statistics in Australia, it's absolutely essential we do so. We have a responsibility as journalists to work within all of the other systems and structures in Australia to do that, and we have a huge pivotal role in doing that, and the fellowship is empowering us to do that. So thank you, Our Watch.